Good evening. I'd like to call the meeting to order. This is the November 28th, 2012 meeting of the Lowell Conservation Commission. Moving on to business. The first item on the agenda is a request for determination of applicability. Kukio and Cormier. The project location is 395 Woburn Street, and it's proposed redevelopment of the property currently located in both Lowell and Tewksbury at 395 Woburn Street, creating two new industrial buildings totaling approximately 32,000 square feet in Tewksbury, with minor grading work on the Lowell portion of the property.
For the record, my name is Jeff Ryder, engineer with Kukio and Cormier Engineering in Tewksbury, and with me tonight is Carl Krupe, the applicant. Would it be better if I came over to be able to?
Absolutely.
Okay.
I think we have a travel microphone somewhere.
Thank you. As the chairman read in a notice, this is a project that's located at 395 Woburn Street in Tewksbury, and a small portion of it is in Lowell. This purple line shown on the plan here is the town line between the city and the town of Tewksbury. We've got two industrial buildings up front here, and then a third building in the back, all located in Tewksbury. The blue outline here is the wetlands that was identified by Norse Environmental, and we have also shown on the plan is the 50-foot and 100-foot buffer zone for those. And as stated in notice, the only work that we're doing in Lowell within 100 foot of buffer zone is this little bit of grading shown here in yellow. So given the minimum amount of work, what we would like the commission to do, if they see fit, is to issue a -3 determination for this project. And I'll certainly be glad to answer any additional questions you may have.
Certainly. What sort of, what's the surface back there now? And you're indicating you have two buildings here. Those are existing buildings?
No, everything is new.
That's all going to be new?
Yes.
Okay, what's the surface out there now?
As far as the ground surface goes, it's the front portion in this area here is a gravel with some scrub brush on it, and the rest of the site is brush and wooded. There's a small area over here of pavement where.
Hold on a second. Let's get another microphone.
There's a small area in this area right here that is pavement, and that's the driveway from an old house that used to be there.
Now, with respect to the regrading that's going on the site, will that affect any runoff? The Tewksbury side onto the Lowell side?
No, well, in fact, what happens is we're actually cutting down this area so the grading, the drainage would run onto our site.
Okay, all right. Commissioner Varnum? Commissioner Chalupka? Commissioner Lynch?
So will you be filing with the town of Tewksbury as well?
We've already filed with Tewksbury Conservation, and we just picked up our order of conditions today.
Okay.
And they've also already, planning board has also already approved it. So
Okay.
this is our last stop.
Okay, just for this little section. All right, thank you.
Commissioner Biedron? All right, and the, with respect to Tewksbury, they issued an order of conditions?
Yes, they did.
All right, and the the order that they issued, was it based on the plan that's before us today,
Yes, it is.
without modification?
Correct.
Okay, all right. I don't have any further questions. Is there anyone here who would like to offer their comments or concerns? Is there anyone here who would like to offer their comments or concerns? Anyone here who would like to offer their comments or concerns? All right. I mean, to me, a -3 seems to be something that's common sense. I guess the only condition I would put on that is that you notify our office in writing prior to work beginning.
That'd be fine.
All right. Do I have a motion? All right. Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying yea or nay. Commissioner Varnum? Chair is yes. Commissioner Chaluka?
Aye.
Commissioner Lynch?
Aye.
Commissioner Budrin?
Thank you very
All
much.
right, you're welcome. Good night. Next item on the agenda is a request for certificate of compliance. This was continued from the prior meeting. Is Group 1 Realty, Inc., concerning DEB file number 2060416, and the project location is 724 through 732 Rogers Street.
Mr. Chairman and members of the commission, for your record, my name is Steve Stupinski from Merrimack Engineering. At the last meeting, the commission had several questions regarding the application and the as-built plan and the certificate of compliance request. One of the questions was that they had observed in the field that there were some animal holes dug in the side of the slope adjacent to the wetlands. Requested that we have a trapper or someone trap the animals and close up the holes, seed them when it was appropriate. And Mr. Ganchi, the Chrysler Plymouth dealer, future owner of the property, hired Andover Pest Control. They came out, and I submitted to the commission this week the statement from them indicating that those holes were abandoned. There were no animals to trap. Subsequently, the holes were filled, loamed and seeded, and there was hay mulch put over those. Also, there were some bare spots on the slopes that resulted from some over-excavation. Not over-excavation, over landscaping. I guess the rakers raking up the grass took some grass up. So again, in that case, they had put some seed and mulch down in the areas where the landscapers were a little bit aggressive. Moving on to the Satin building, which is now the Mazda building, there were some downspouts that weren't properly connected. Those have been repaired. I've looked at them. They're all, everything is booted and clamped, and none of the pipes are split. They're all operational, so that's all been taken care of. There's a question about the grass swale that was along the property line between the Mazda dealership and the abutters. So as you look at it from Rogers Street to the left, grass swale wasn't there, wasn't operating. Turns out that the city staff provided me with a copy of an as-built plan that had been done by MHF for that area, and essentially the commission gave an order of conditions to pipe that swale. You gave the order at the time you allowed the Satin dealership to expand and become the Mazda dealership. And you've also issued a certificate of compliance for all of that work. So everything along that area really has been done, and you've issued a certificate. We didn't do the engineering on that. But I think you can maybe check with your staff on that. So that was another question. Apparently, the commission issued an order of conditions for that work without closing out this one. So really, probably the thing may have been that before that order was issued, this really certificate of compliance should have been issued, but it wasn't, which is why we're here tonight to close this out. So everything on the site is fully stabilized. We inspected and opened and inspected every single drain manhole, every single catch basin, and all of them are 100% clean. There's no sediment to be removed. I can't get you maintenance logs, which is what you asked for, because nobody kept a maintenance log that we know of. Nobody seems to have known that they should have every year made a log, and maybe there was no order in the order of conditions requiring that they notify you annually like you normally might have with stormwater management programs now, because this was back some almost 15 years ago. So the commission didn't require it. The landowner didn't do that. So all I can say is that they did clean them, and I did look at them, and they're all clean. They didn't go out and do them the day before we looked at them. We went out and the stormwater infiltration system is fine. There's absolutely zero evidence of silt in that as well. So the systems are all operational. They're all existent. We did a topo on the entire site. I sent it by email to the city staff today because with the holidays and everything, we just finished it. And it was also field checked yesterday, which is why we submitted it today because of the edits. All of the slopes, I looked at it, they're no steeper than 2 to 1, which was what was on the design plan. So everything is fully compliant. The site is fully curbed. The only difference between the original plan that the commission had at the last meeting and the way it was built is there are some catch basins that are maybe 5-foot difference in the horizontal location, some drain manholes that might be different by 3 or 4 feet. But other than that, it's the same, except for the Mazda, where the Mazda building is now bigger. The grass swale that was there is gone, and that was permitted under a separate order that you approved, and you also gave a certificate of compliance on that. So this plan reflects the as-built conditions of the latest order of conditions that you issued for the Mazda dealership, as well as the remainder of the site. So I think that's everything that was on the list.
All right, let me,
Yes.
Aaron, we've issued a COC on the Mazda building expansion or on the original project as permitted? This is for the whole project, correct?
This was for the whole.
Original.
Right, this was, the way the original was permitted was it came in as a site plan for just the Satin dealership, just the building on the left. That's how it came in. And it showed future expansion, a future dealership, which would be the Chrysler Plymouth. That's the one to the right, next to the city ballpark. Then, once that site plan was refined, it came back to the commission, from what I can tell. The commission voted to approve that plan. So it was all done under one notice of intent. There was a change in the stormwater infiltration system. We moved it. That plan was approved by the commission as well. It was submitted and voted on by the commission. So basically, this order that we're seeking the certificate of compliance for is for the entire site.
I guess I'm still a little confused, because have we issued a COC on?
There was an order of conditions that was issued for the expansion of the building. It's the Mazda building. So it's just the building expansion that the order was issued following this order of conditions that's under review right now.
Right, that was a couple years later.
That was a couple years
Yeah.
later that.
2005.
Issued for that, for the expansion, but my understanding is that this is for the entire site. The order that's under consideration now for a COC is the entire site.
All right. Do you have the, can I just see the plan, the original plan that was approved?
No. The way the ownership is, Lot A includes what is currently the Mazda dealership and about half of the parking lot. The second lot is what's called B-C. So when you approved this originally, it was Lot A, Lot B, and Lot C. There were 3 separate lots. So one entity owns Lot A, and a second entity owns both B and C. Mr. Lannon owns Lot A, and Group 1 owns B and C. I'm sorry? The access, there are reciprocal easement agreements between the 2 parties, so that the access is actually owned by Lot B. But Lot A has the access rights over it. The parking lot area is owned each individually, and you can see there I located the Jersey barriers. They have Jersey barriers along the property line so that each dealership knows what is the limit of their storage. The reciprocal easement agreement gives Lot C the right to drain over Lot A so that the stormwater can run into the infiltration system. And they have reciprocal agreements. They have a reciprocal agreement for maintenance as well. The same thing applies to the sewer and the water, and the gas and the electric. They're all reciprocal. And I did leave the sewer, water, gas, and electric off the plan because it's very,
Busy.
it was too many lines.
So where does the 36 RCP drain go from Lot A?
It goes into the wetlands, and I'm not sure where it goes beyond that. MHF, who did the as-built plan for the order that you released, that you've already given a certificate of compliance on, didn't show the end of it.
Really?
And it goes beyond the fence. And since the entire area is fenced and it was undisturbed, it wasn't really necessary for us to do any work in their topography because it was all undisturbed. The fence is at the limit of disturbance. So whatever was on the original plan would still be the same. So there was nothing disturbed there, and except the pipe was put in. And again, that was done under a separate order that you've already given a certificate of compliance on.
Mr. Stupinski, let me, maybe your memory is, well, I know you weren't originally in on the project though, correct?
No, I was.
Oh, you were?
I was at every hearing.
Oh, all
absolutely.
right. Maybe you can refresh my memory then a little bit.
I wasn't involved with the piping of the drainage of the grass swale. I wasn't involved with that. That was another engineering firm
Okay.
did that work.
No, just with respect to the Cultec system though, was the original Cultec system, and this is going back now to the
Sure.
late 90s.
Yeah.
And it's putting a little bit of a strain on my memory. Was that designed, or the original intent for that, and I know that's not the one that we're looking at because it was changed, was that one designed to have an outfall, like an overflow?
The original one was,
And then the one that actually was installed, that was approved on an amendment, was an infiltrator one, correct?
that's correct.
Okay, all right,
Right.
okay. Yeah, because I'm looking at the original plans, and it looks like
Right.
there was an outfall, and then I just recall that this was supposed to be an infiltrator system now.
Right.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, to me, there are some differences with respect to the sloping around the bordering vegetated wetland, and they, especially closer to the fence, it seems to me that slope seems to impact a little bit towards the base of the fence more than was perhaps intended, but, and what was shown on the plan, because there's a lot of spot grades that are a couple of feet higher around the fencing area, but it doesn't, at least to me, appear to have impacted the wetland at all, and it's been there for 10 plus, even more years now, so it seems to be at least fairly stable there. It wasn't my intent to evict any animals that were living in the bank. I kind of think that's a good thing, personally, because they use that for cover.
Right, I understand.
It was just that seemed to me that it was somewhat undermining the integrity of the bank. Just,
Right, and I understand that, and we never thought that. And I would also say, too, that you could see the evidence where they burrowed under the fence to get in and out of the wetlands, so whoever was living in those holes did go into the wetlands.
yeah, I mean, and I certainly wouldn't want those areas to be blocked off or impeded in any way, because they're going to do what they're going to do. I mean,
Right.
I can tell a story about the squirrel that found 3 different ways to chew through the side of our house. So
Right.
the stronger we made the barrier, the more destructive they got to get around it. So.
Right, and the burrow areas that are under the fence are still there. Those weren't filled in or regraded, so they can still have a wildlife travel path where they've already created it. The other thing I would say is, quite frankly, the wetlands being chain link fenced like that are extraordinarily clean and devoid of debris, which I can remember originally they weren't. So it's really done a good job keeping not only paper and trash out, but other things that there was a lot of dumping that had been taking place in there. And
It's not, this is to our administrator, it's not a condition in the order of conditions for an O&M
It is,
plan to be
it's
kept?
typically recommended now, but as the dated early 90s, it probably was not something that was a matter of course as a part of the order of conditions. But now, with any new submission like this, we would recommend that there be an O&M plan submitted, approved, and then
Well, I know it is now, I was just, it's not a part of this order, though.
No, it's not.
Huh. All right. All right, I don't have any further questions. Nothing further from the board? I hadn't had a chance to get out there today. When were the standpipes fixed? Do you know?
About a week and a half ago, they were fixed, I think, the Saturday after your meeting,
Okay,
right away, I think, right, Tony? Yeah,
all right.
so,
And just, those need to, because those serve a vital function, so those need to be kept. You know, when they fail, they need to be repaired reasonably quickly.
I think, and I shouldn't say this, I think, your 2005 order of conditions should have been, at the time the new stormwater management regs had been in place, I think. So you probably have that requirement for that order, but again,
Yeah, that's on the new building though, so.
Right.
Right.
And that's when those downspouts actually get put in. They added an addition on the left and an addition on the rear of the building, and they redid the roof with part of that addition. So that's how they got the downspouts, and they put in the roof drains to go into some chambers.
Do I have a motion on this?
I'll motion to issue a certificate of compliance.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Commissioner Varnum is aye, Chair is yes, Commissioner Chaluka, Commissioner Lynch.
Aye.
Commissioner Biedron.
Aye.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you for going the extra and getting that information to us. Just a function of the dry air, or do we lose a ground somewhere? Moving on to the next item on the agenda, a request to amend an order of conditions. Sherry Frere, concerning DEP file number 2060695. Project location is 17 Warren Court in the rear, the Lowell locks. And it's a request to amend previously issued order of conditions for stabilization of the Lowell locks chamber, fill valve, and associated supporting elements of the Pawtucket Canal. Were they coming in?
My expectation was that they would be coming in tonight, but there is not a representative here as of yet, so.
All right, why don't we table that? Because we have other items here with people who are present, so why don't we table that, move on to the next item on the agenda is an enforcement order also continued from a prior November hearing date, Paul Mercier, concerning DEP file number 2060584. The violation location is 51 and 57 Shirley Avenue, and it's construction of a single-family home in bordering land subject to flooding. I understand we received a request to continue this matter from Mr. Mercier or his wetland scientist.
Yes, so we received communication via email today that essentially requested that the item be continued as the wetland scientist, who is Steve Erickson of Norse Environmental, is working on a revised plan with their draftsman to have for the commission's review. There was not a date requested for the future for the meeting to be scheduled to, so we can work with the applicant to nail that down. It sounds like the next meeting would be sufficient time, but
Well, generally, that's what I would request anyway on just a general,
something like this.
yeah.
It sounds like
continuance.
that's doable. It just has something to do with the
right.
holidays.
Is there anyone here for that matter? No? Okay. Do I have a motion to, and we haven't received anything on that yet?
No, we intended, like I said, first get a better idea of when they expect to have the plans done, and remind the applicant and or their agent that there is still a outstanding fine that's tolling on a daily basis, that we recommend they submit the plans as soon as possible.
All right.
At least to close that tolling period.
All right, do I have a motion to continue to the first December meeting, which is December 12th? Is that correct? Okay.
I make a motion to continue to the December 12th meeting at the request of the applicant.
Do I have a second? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it, okay. Moving on, a second enforcement order, also continued from a prior November hearing date. Brian Bond and Robert D'Ambrose, 125 Cambridge Street, violation location is the same. It's clearing of trees and filling within the 100-year floodplain, alteration to an inland bank, riverfront area, and bordering vegetated wetlands, stockpiling of loose landscape material on a resource area without erosion or sedimentation, control measures to protect the River Meadow Brook.
Mr. Chairman, Brian Bond for the record.
Okay, Mr. Bond, we were out there, Commissioner Beardron and myself, and I don't know if any other commissioners made it out there at different times. We were out there the other day with one of our administrators, Swathi Joseph. Has she issued an amended pursuant to the site visit?
Yes,
Okay.
based on that meeting, the amended.
All right. Has the siltation barrier been put up yet?
Mr. Burbank?
Okay. Okay, you ready to go then? Yep. Okay. What I'd like is either with Swathi, just contact if you can do it tomorrow or Friday. We've enjoyed some good weather, so let's take advantage of that and get that siltation barrier in place.
First thing in the morning?
Yeah.
8 o'clock.
And then you can work with them about putting together for a notice of intent for stabilizing that bank.
Okay.
Okay, as we discussed.
One question about the tree.
Yeah, come on up to the.
Remember we looked at the tree?
Yeah.
Is there any way I can do that before I put the fence up so I don't ruin the fence?
Yeah, well, not really.
Okay.
The sedimentation fence is, you're gonna be bringing equipment in there, and the whole purpose of it is equipment's gonna be throwing stuff off, and stuff will be falling down the bank, and it's better to have the sedimentation barrier in place. I understand your concern, but.
Well, we can remove the fence when we do.
Right, it's not gonna be as easy, but I don't do this for a living, but I have done stuff like this. I think you can saw that tree up and as you said, lift it with the,
Right, yep.
Lift it with the claw to get it out of there. And I know you might have to drag it down the embankment if you can get the claw further up. And I'd rather do as little damage to those standing trees as possible.
Oh, no,
Yeah.
oh, no, I'm not, yeah, okay.
So, the sedimentation that's already in the river is already in the river, already in the brook, so,
Okay,
it's there. What I would suggest, though, is to make that a part of your plan,
okay,
okay? That really shouldn't be done until and unless you've done a filing,
okay.
okay? So that it would behoove you to get a filing in relatively quickly.
That is a good thing to do for this, basically to remove that
Yeah, it's a
tree.
good time of the year to do it because it's,
Oh, it's just damming up right now, so.
yeah, you'll probably get some ice
Right,
situation. I mean, you never know. I mean, the winter could take care of the problem too. How long has it been there?
since the last storm, the October storm of last year.
I mean, the ice buildup in the winter could take it away from you too. So, you never know. I mean, but I understand your concern. It acts like a dam and it traps all sorts of debris. So
Okay.
it would be best to get it out of there. But again, that's something, since you're working right in the resource itself, it has to be something done under an order. It can't be done under the enforcement order.
Okay.
Okay,
All right, but I'll start that fence first thing in the morning.
okay. I don't have anything else.
My other question, remember we were talking about, the existing tree back fence? I think there was a question, is it all right for them to bring a silt fence around above the tree, or should they stay on the brook side?
Oh, yeah, no,
think we talked
yeah,
about-
we had
yeah.
discussed that, I think, further, and
Okay.
going around the trees,
Going
Come up
up-
around.
yeah, coming up
okay.
above them seems to make a lot more sense, so.
Yeah, I don't want you following in that brook.
Okay, and again, just keep it, you know where the water line was, so it's, it'd be best just to keep it above that,
I'm
so.
gonna bring that lip back, I'm gonna stake the lip on the bank and up towards the hill, like you said.
As I said, work with the office. These guys are the experts too, and they can give you some assistance, so.
Okay,
Okay,
sounds good.
all right, thank you.
Thanks.
I don't have anything further. If there's any questions. Okay.
I just want to confirm so we can coordinate.
Yeah, we have to ratify the
That's
amended
correct,
order.
yep.
Yeah, thank you.
So two things, I just wanted to make sure we're coordinating correctly. You're going to start the work for the silt fence tomorrow morning?
8 o'clock?
Okay, we can have,
All right, we need to ratify the amended order.
Yes, and then
So,
that's-
do I have a motion on that?
Move to ratify the new enforcement order issued on November 26th to supersede the old one.
Do I have a second?
Second?
All in favor signify by saying aye. Commissioner Varnum? Chair is yes. Commissioner Chaluka?
Aye.
Commissioner Lynch?
Aye.
Commissioner Beedrin?
Aye.
Okay, do we need to do we need to do a separate motion to rescind the prior one, or just, Commissioner
way-
Chaluka mentioned it, so.
the way this is drafted is it supersedes the original enforcement
all
order,
right.
so this, by ratifying it.
Okay.
That's
All right.
taken care of.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Oh, one question, you guys will be out in the morning? Or,
Yeah, we probably won't be there right when you start.
okay, but I can get started.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you for coming. All right, well, did the national park indicate they were coming in, or?
That was my understanding, that they knew that they were on the agenda this evening to, there was the publication for the amended order, so.
All right, well, why don't you fill us in on what happened in the river
Okay.
yesterday or the day before?
So, we received a call from Woodland and Kern, which is an engineering firm that works on behalf of the Lowell Regional Wastewater Utility. There was a water main break. It's a 12-inch water line that actually crosses the Merrimack River just east of the Hunts Falls Bridge. That break, they had to shut down that connection. It's a main that provides power or super pressure for water services up on the top of Christian Hill, or higher elevations of Christian Hill, and higher elevations of the Belvedere neighborhood. So right now, there's only one water main line that actually runs along the bridge itself. It's undersized. The main break was a 12-inch line, by the way. So that what's right now in the Hunts Bridge is the only service that provides water to the upper parts of Christian Hill and Belvedere. So we're looking to issue a emergency order. There was a request submitted to the department to issue an emergency order for a first phase to explore an opportunity to reuse an existing 24-inch main that is actually quite close to the one that broke in the Merrimack River. It's an older, vacated line that's been there for something close to 100 years. What they're looking to do is, in the first phase, and what they're requesting as a part of the emergency order, is to dig 2 pits on each side of the river so they can locate the line, the 24-inch line that's there, and determine whether or not they can line that with an HDPE pipe and essentially reuse it and replace the service that broke with the older kind of repaired line. So the certification is really just to dig the exploratory pits to find the ends of it, so they can actually see if this is a feasible option. It would be great. My understanding is this is a pretty good opportunity for them. Otherwise, they have to pretty much install a new pipe, which could be a very large project. The kind of public health concern is that right now, without this line in place, there's no redundancy to the water service to these 2 neighborhoods. So if one of the pump stations right now, there's one on each side of the river, fails, there's no potable water to the neighborhoods, and challenges fire suppression in case there's a fire. So there's clearly a concern here that this needs to be addressed soon. The scope of work that they're requesting is, as I said, on each side, about a 15 by 10-foot pit that they'd like to dig. On the south side, it's right next to Stackpole Street at the intersection of where the bridge abutment is. That pit is actually outside of the jurisdictional area. It's about 150 feet from the so it's not a huge concern in this case. The other one, though, is on the other side. They'd be looking to dig the pit right where the pathway is, the pedestrian pathway, which is approximately 5 feet from the bank edge. So what they would do is dig the pit. If there's any stockpiling, stockpile it up gradient from the pathway, put in straw wattle, thank you, on the down gradient of the stockpile, and then another line of straw wattle down gradient of the digging of the pit, so that there's basically two lines of the defense. They expect that the pit will be open for no longer than 3 days. They're hoping if they get lucky and can find it, the line, it'd be a one-day thing. They'll dig it, stockpile it, and then replace it and repave right over in 1 day, but it could take up to 3 days. So the other piece of erosion control is if they do have to stockpile overnight, they'll cover it with tarp to prevent any erosion. So that's kind of the long and the short of it. I have I'm working on the certification, but they look to begin initial work on this initial phase tomorrow. But what they have to do is they have to actually install a couple of valves to prevent water from going everywhere when they check this new line. So I don't expect that they'll be digging the pits until at least middle of next week, something like that. The entire project, they're estimating, will take 30 days.
All right, and are they planning a filing
Yes.
for our next meeting?
Yes, they'll plan on being at the first meeting in December, the 12th, to follow up on this certification to provide an update to the commission. There will be eventually a notice of intent filed, whether or not this solution works, because they're going to have to do something to repair that connection.
What was the day that the pipe had failed?
I think it was the 17th. So I want to say 17th. No, it was after that, because I think it was like the 19th or 20th that we originally had the phone call from the water utility. Well, that would incur. It was until the last couple of days that we've actually had to get a better sense of what the scope of work is and what the
How long did it go undetected for? Do they know?
the break. I don't know. We could find that out though.
Not that it's important, but
But I did inspect the site. I think it was Monday or actually yesterday, and you couldn't see. It wasn't obvious where there was a rush of water running down the side of the bank. So it must not have been for a very long time, because there wasn't any erosion that you could see from it.
all right. Aaron called me on this yesterday or the day before, I believe.
Yesterday.
Right, and I had requested that he put together an emergency order so that they could do the exploratory work, considering the vital nature of and the need and the necessity for public safety and just general neighborhoods having water service too. So they could at least start the exploratory work with a full filing. And I know they want to get started tomorrow or as soon as possible.
Yeah, there's at least one valve that they need to install to prevent.
Okay.
Like that,
All right.
they'll begin that initial work tomorrow, but like I said,
All right.
the digging of the pits won't begin until next week.
Okay. Now, both the city ordinance and more importantly, the Wetlands Protection Act allows us to permit an emergency order for public health and safety reasons, for vital utility systems. And at least to me, I think this meets all those criteria. So I think it would be appropriate to issue an emergency order. But that doesn't obviate the need for the city to come back and with a full filing. It's just in order for them to proceed initially, and it sounds like it's it sounds like it's almost something we would -3 anyway, perhaps, depending, just from what I've originally heard. I mean, I think we've -3'd some more intrusive work than this, perhaps not on the bank of the Merrimack, but given the nature and how quickly they need to move, I for one feel comfortable issuing an emergency order in this particular case. So,
Okay.
Is there any discussion, questions of Aaron? I know there's no one in here from the city at the time, but
I just have a question. Would this be an amendment to the other emergency certificate about the counterweight, or is this separate?
no, it's a completely separate project.
Yeah, sorry,
We'll
this,
discuss that in a few
Oh, okay,
seconds. Yeah.
all right.
Yeah, this is a brand new one that the water utility had brought to our attention.
Yeah, this
So-
isn't even on the agenda.
Okay.
It's a brand new concern. Things have been getting exciting lately.
Are they gonna, expose the pipe and then they're gonna TV it?
I don't know if they're, you can actually put a camera through. I don't think they're gonna put a camera through. I actually don't know how they're gonna certify whether or not the existing, the vacant line could be reused.
Yeah.
I'm not sure about that. I can find out, though. That's something that we can make sure that's part of the discussion.
Yeah, just curious.
But it's fascinating. It's actually quite an interesting project. And they're kind of lucky if it works out.
All right, if there's no further questions, can do it in discussion. Is this something I can get a motion to issue an emergency order on? All right, do I have a second?
Second.
By Commissioner Varnum. Motion by Commissioner Biedron. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Commissioner Varnum? Chair is yes. Commissioner Chaluka?
Aye.
Commissioner Lynch?
Aye.
Commissioner Biedron? Okay. Well, I'm reluctant not to take any action on this, on the Lower Locks gate. Hmm? Yeah, I mean, we can discuss it. Let me just give my Nichols idea of what this is. This is a project that we permitted about a month and a half ago or so, I guess, perhaps not even that far ago. This was the Lower Locks gate that they had to install a ballast to support it because it was failing. The original plan had called for the ballast, which I guess is like about a 4 foot by 4 foot by 7 foot. It's quite large. It's, what is it, 49, almost 40 cubic yards, I think. It's pretty big. No, 9 cubic yards, or 6.5. It's 6.5 cubic yards. Is that right? The original call was to situate that ballast on the triangle point, but that property apparently is owned by the University of Lowell, and for some reason or another, they don't want the national park to tie that piece up for the next couple of years. So the amendment came before us to move the ballast stabilization into the floodway itself, right, and to place it in the canal. Aaron had contacted me, I believe, last week on that.
That one was more like the 12th or 13th.
Yeah.
It was getting earlier this month.
And my initial take on it was that I didn't like the idea of placing that much fill in the floodway for 2 years. But as I thought about it, my take was that the Lower Locks and the gateway there saved the city in 1938 from a catastrophic flood, and that it does serve a vital flood control, and that the ballast itself is a relatively stable piece. It would, in essence, be placing a large granite, or in this case concrete, block into the floodway. It's not a permanent feature. It's just going to be temporary. It's a couple of years, but still temporary nonetheless until the gate can be properly restored. The gates themselves obviously have significant historical value, in and of their own right, but as I thought about it, not only are they the historical significance, which unfortunately is not one of our jurisdictions, but it is, at least in my mind, does serve a vital flood control service to at least the downtown area. So in that respect, that purpose outweighed placing a 6, I guess it's 6 cubic yards. That's 4 by 4 by 7 is 90 something cubic feet, I think.
I think it's closer
Yeah.
to 11, but something like that. It's between 9 and 11
So,
cubic yards.
So to me, that outweighed placing a block that size in the floodway on a temporary basis. So I would support, at least as far as I'm concerned, I would support the amendment in the amended order of conditions. So, and I believe have they already started the work? And to fill in, I had issued an emergency order actually to do the work. This is actually for the ratification and for the actual amendment to the order itself, which they would still have to do anyway. So that's what this is.
They've begun work, but it's the last look, which was I think yesterday or earlier today. There was no, the ballast hadn't been poured yet. It was going to be poured in place.
Okay.
That's
Yeah.
not yet.
Yeah. The reason, and I actually skipped right over it. The reason I issued the emergency order on it was the canal ways, as you notice in your travails about the city, are drawn down right now. So it was important, and the city and the national park doesn't have any control over when the canals are drawn down. That's NL and Boot Hydro that does that. So when they want to refill them, they refill them. But right now they're drawn down. So the whole idea was to get that ballast in place while the canal was drawn down. So are there any questions further? Aaron, do you have anything to add to that?
I think you covered. I mean, what made it kind of a time critical issue is the fact that the canals were already drawn down. So that's absolutely one of the reasons they were looking to move forward quickly. And absolutely the other piece of that was that it is, although it is part of, it's a significant piece of the historical park as an element in structure. It actually is functioning or serves as a functioning piece of the dam system, so and the canal system. So it's not just there for looks.
All right. And are there any questions from the commission? If someone would care to make a motion, at least to accept the amendment. Do we need to ratify the emergency order?
Yes, please.
Okay. And perhaps a motion on either or both.
I move to ratify the emergency order and to approve the amendment of the order of conditions as proposed by the Park Service.
Do I have a second to ratify the emergency order?
Second.
Do I have a second by Commissioner Chalupa? Do I have a second to, for the motion to accept the amendment to the order of conditions?
Second.
Okay, by Commissioner Chalupa, both motions by Commissioner Varnum. Any further discussion? Is there anyone here who'd like to offer their comments or concerns? The chair notes that there's no one here, so, all right. All in favor of the ratification of the emergency order signify by saying aye. Commissioner Varnum? Chair is yes. Commissioner Chalupka?
Aye.
Commissioner Lynch?
Aye.
Commissioner Biedron? The ayes, it's unanimous. Now, with respect to accepting the amendment to the order of conditions, Commissioner Varnum? Chair is yes. Commissioner Chalupka?
Aye.
Commissioner Lynch?
Aye.
Commissioner Biedron? Okay. All right. Do we have any other business on? No.
That's it for tonight.
Okay.
I do have a updated schedule for next year that I don't know if each of you just got a handout tonight. Obviously, we're welcome to take it home and review it and just make sure it fits. It's the same schedule layout as the second and fourth Wednesday of each month. The one change that we are proposing in this is in an effort to try to make sure that the submittal information that gets passed on to the commissioners is provided in a timely manner. We're pushing up the deadlines for notice of intents application submissions to be 3 weeks prior to the meeting where the public hearing will take place. We are constrained absolutely by the 21-day period by which we receive a complete application, in which case we will have to accept some applications if forced to. But what we're trying to do is not necessarily slow down the process, but make sure that we have all the application materials in a timely manner so that the commission has the opportunity to review them in a timely manner, and that staff has the opportunity to, particularly in notice of intent applications, provide complete comments and schedule site visits and that sort of thing. So that's the one change to the schedule that we're proposing.
The November 27th meeting, I believe that's the day before Thanksgiving next year.
We'll reschedule that one then. Yeah, I'm not sure when we reschedule meetings if there's a conflict on a Wednesday. This hasn't.
Isn't Thanksgiving always like the third Thursday?
No, it's later next year.
It's usually the fourth Thursday, isn't it?
Oh, I thought.
I know it's later next year,
Yeah, I think it's the 28th next year. I'm not sure, it's not on my calendar for some reason, but
What we'll do is we'll find an alternative date. If it's the following, in this case it'd be into December. We'll look for either maybe earlier in the week, Monday or Tuesday. We'll have to vacate the council chambers because there'll be another meeting probably going on. But
yeah, I mean, the other thing too is perhaps we could do in December, since we're already missing a meeting in Christmas, perhaps do the first, or are we in conflict with anyone on the first and third?
I think the school committee.
School committee,
Yeah.
that's right.
We could look at, it's okay to double up on a Monday meeting with one of the other boards. We can staff it. It's just that it wouldn't be in the council chambers, or one of the boards would conduct a meeting.
I'm not looking for more meetings. I mean, it's just that if we have a full schedule and need to get a meeting in,
It's a challenge to have just one meeting a month, just because the deadlines that we have to work with and the timelines.
Yeah.
So,
But having the day before Thanksgiving, if that is Thanksgiving, that's a tough time because people are traveling and I've got college kids and usually picking them up at school and stuff like that, so it's not an easy time.
perhaps we'll do the Wednesday before that, just do it a week early.
Yeah.
That's the school committee. Well, we can have a meeting, we're gonna have to have a meeting in the reception room, I think, if we reschedule this.
All right, well, we have till the December. We still have another meeting to approve this, so.
Yes, we have time.
All right, so let's look, I don't know if there's any other conflicts. Okay. All right, do I have a motion to adjourn? Seconded by Commissioner Chalupka. All in favor, say by aye. Opposed, the ayes have it. And good night.